Now we're going to do a status update on my custom voice assistant, and I'm going to show how that works now. So I obviously did one in a previous casual video, but there's quite a lot that's changed since then, so I'm going to show how my custom voice assistant has evolved since we last did this. So first of all, I would highly recommend checking out my live stream that I just had open if you're watching the casual video about adding status LEDs to my custom voice assistant, because I actually walked through how a Raspberry Pi breadboard works. Basically went over the how and why of everything, so it's not just showing how to do something without explaining it. Well, in breadboard stuff, I would highly recommend this one. But most importantly, I show how I added status LEDs to my custom voice assistant. So I'm going to go over all of that, but I also basically demonstrated the voice assistant to begin with, and there's a fair bit of updates within that. So there's some updates in there, but I'm going to try to do hopefully a more prepared demonstration than before. We'll have to see how that goes though. So first of all, let's start up the voice assistant in the first place, because it will take a little while to start up. But let's get it started, then we'll basically talk about the differences. What is going on here? Oh, I think my source is just glitching out. There we go. That's better. Okay, so let's get my voice assistant started up. So the way I do that now is way different than it used to be. So on my Raspberry Pi, the way I start up my voice assistant now, and I'll show exactly how it works later on. But for right now, we're going to start it up while I talk about things, because it'll take a while to start. So, of course, I have a launch script, so I'll just simply... Whoop. Why is that key being held down? I don't know what's going on here. Something is stuck. Don't know why that just happened. So I go into my documents and launch Mycroft script. Actually, first let's make sure my microphone is connected properly. I never verified that yet. This is how I check. So I can see from here that it is attached correctly. It's a Logitech C270. So now I just run this. And as you can see, it's running very differently from before. Now I don't know if you can tell, but the lighting may have changed slightly. Can I emphasize the lighting? No, I can't. So I will show you what's going on here. So now when I start up Mycroft, let me see if I can get my phone's camera working here. Look at this. All those LEDs are turned on right now. That's hooked up to my Raspberry Pi, and there's my C270 mic. So when I run that startup script, those lights basically turn on until it's ready to be used. Once it's finished initializing, those lights automatically shut off. Then I can tell that it's ready to be used, which is pretty sweet. So that's pretty handy to have. I'll show how that works in a little bit, but since it's starting up, thought I'd show that right now. So I did just press Control-C right here, because the way it kind of runs is I'm actually constantly running a script, but I don't always want it attached to the terminal, so I'm using a no hang up signal. And I can just press Control-C and things will still run independently. So if I were to use PS AUX or something, no. What's the command for listing basic processes? Man, I'm blanking out on what the... I've done this before, where you can list the current running processes. It might be this one right here. I don't know. Oh yeah, let me make this bigger too. Don't want to forget that. The lights are still on for some reason, which makes me wonder if it's starting up at all. Oh, it just shut off. So it succeeded. Now it's running successfully. So let's pull up the CLI interface so we can see what's happening. So I'll go into the core folder. We'll start the CLI, and that'll basically tell us what's going on with the custom voice assistant. So of course I've already showed this in a past video. Probably don't need to do that again. But yeah, so you can see we got a mic level and all those things, so it's clearly picking me up, which is great. So obviously commands will work like you'd expect. I've already demonstrated stuff before, so I don't really need to do it again. So I have an open script that does a whole bunch of things besides just opening programs. So of course if I want to open up my auto hotkey scripts, then all I have to do is come on. All I have to do then is just say, hey Mycroft, open my auto hotkey scripts. And my LED came on, so I was able to tell that it worked. That should have worked. I don't know why it didn't. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. Open auto hotkey. Oh, I know why it's not working. Because, again, I used WSL to make it work in Windows. And I still haven't figured out how to start it up with Windows yet. So that means I need to come into my WSL instance and start SSH, which is required for that. Now it should work. Hey Mycroft, open my auto hotkey scripts. Yeah, there we go. I don't know why that opened my documents instead, but close enough. I'm trying to get it working on this computer now. So yeah, I can do all sorts of stuff. Like if I want to close those two windows that just opened, then I can actually compound commands together. I don't know what's going on there. I can basically compound commands together and use multiple at once by using the word and. So if I want to eliminate those two programs or end them, then I can say, hey Mycroft, eliminate program and program. Then it should close both of them. Well, there were two of them. So yeah, and allows me to do multiple things at once. Hey Mycroft, eliminate program. So that I can basically open programs, I can close them. I have multiple keywords, so I don't just have to say eliminate, I can say end. I can do all sorts of stuff like that. So I showed you I can open and close programs. I showed how I can compound them together. I can also pause and play videos. So let's say I wanted to play this video, then I can just say, hey Mycroft, play video. Then it starts playing the video. And likewise, I can pause it. Hey Mycroft, pause video. That didn't work. Hey Mycroft, pause video. Now what's going on? Hey Mycroft, pause video. I don't know what just happened there. There could be a little bit of residue from past commands that are causing it to glitch. I don't know. So the video paused. Of course, I can toggle the captions. I can do full screen if I want to do both of those things at once and play the video. Then I go, hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. Toggle captions and full screen and video. Then it should do all those things. There we go. Of course I got these captions here, but they're not in Brave, so whatever. Hey Mycroft, pause video and full screen. And that'll basically pause the video and take it out of full screen. What just happened? Hey Mycroft, pause video and full screen. Sometimes it mishears what I said and then it doesn't do the right things. Why don't we take a look at the hi and see if there's anything obvious. Oh, the and word just simply didn't work. Yeah, I thought I said on. I should probably make it so it works with on as a separator. So basically what I probably shouldn't modify it yet. I'll write a quick little reminder to say add on compound supports. Just writing a note to myself, even though I should rely on my own perspective memory. But I'll use my perspective memory. If I forget what the thing was, then I'm just using it for retrospective memory. Anyways, let's see, what do I want to do next? Yeah, on just simply didn't work, so let's not use the word on. Okay, so I'm playing a video and I want to pause it and exit full screen all in one command. Hey Mycroft, pause video and full screen. There we go. So what's actually happening is I have a trigger phrase that triggers the actual skill, like the open script. This is all using the open script, by the way. And then from there, it doesn't matter what trigger phrase I'm using. So basically the words open, close, end, eliminate, those actually trigger the same script, and then the command from there is what actually happens. So I could technically say ridiculous stuff like, oh, what's a good one? So I could also say like eliminate full screen to actually go into full screen because it's just a toggle. Hey Mycroft, eliminate full screen. So that will actually put the video in full screen, because the first word is what determines the actual skill to run, and it just allows me to use that command. So I can say, oh, what's a weird one that I would be able to use? Here, I'll come into my list of the trigger phrases, which is in Up Mycroft skills, open locale, enus, my intent files. What is it? Open.intent. Yeah, so I could literally say 1180 full screen and that'll work, or Andrew full screen. Okay, let's try that once. Hey Mycroft, Andrew full screen. See, that works also, because all those words that we were just looking at here, they all do the same thing basically, but it allows me to say the command in several different ways. This is the syntax I'm using with my intent file to make all that happen. And I have illuminate there because it sounds like eliminate, and that helps get rid of the false negative, and it just makes it work. So yeah, the first word is basically triggering this particular Mycroft skill, and then from there the command is interpreted by that program that I've basically coded myself. So that's kind of how that particular thing works. So I can pause, play, toggle captions, full screen. Obviously I can also minimize programs. Hey Mycroft, toggle minimize. Kind of weird that I use toggle as a word, but it's one of those words that I can use I can't think of a better way to address that command right now when I'm so used to doing that. I might be like, hey Mycroft, open maximize, and then it'll maximize a window. I could say open minimize, I could say eliminate minimize, whatever. Then I can maximize, which basically does alt tab. Of course, I can close the program, so I'll say, hey Mycroft, eliminate program. Kind of how you do it on Star Trek, except say computer. I'm hoping to do that in the future too, but I have to train a machine learning model at this point. I tried using the Pocket Sphinx, but that's too unreliable. I tried downloading a pre-trained model, which is also too unreliable. So I have to train my own model if I want to use the computer trigger phrase. But that's okay. I'm fine with that. So, yeah. I think I pretty much showed how to do those things. Well, the way I actually accomplish those things is I simply have a trigger AutoHotkey scripts. So I can also rewind a video, fast forward a video, simply by saying like open rewind or open fast forward. I probably don't need to demonstrate it. You can imagine how that would work. Close current tab, and then it'll close whatever tab I'm currently in. If I say close previous tab, that'll close the previous tab and come back to the current one. Save favorite is not a command. Wow, what just happened here? I don't know why that randomly popped up. But yeah, basically my abilities are how you would do it in AutoHotkey. So going to the previous tab, for example, all I'm really doing is pressing Control-Shift-Tab, which goes to the previous one, Control-W, which will close it out, then release all the modifier keys, if any of them are stuck down virtually. Next tab, you can imagine how that works. Pretty much all of it is whatever keyboard shortcuts. For minimize, I use I have an AutoHotkey script to minimize a window, so it just triggers that. Oh, it uses win minimize with the active window actually. Then maximize just hits alt tab. That's really all that does. So when I say like open minimize, it basically triggers that script. And yeah, that's how I basically do that. So then when I open maximize, it just does this. It uses alt tab, and that should be the most recent thing. I often do like to do that. When I say start video, I believe that actually brings a YouTube video to the very beginning. So basically, I either watch videos in Media Player Classic or YouTube most of the time. So if I'm in Media Player Classic, then space will start a video. Otherwise it hits 0, which I guess brings the video to the beginning on YouTube. I don't know, that seems to be the behavior that I want. So when I close a tab, that just presses Control-W, pausing a video. This is how I actually handle it. So if I'm in Media Player Classic, I just have it hit space. Otherwise, if I'm watching The Office from Brave on Peacock, then I would still hit space. Otherwise, I hit K, which is YouTube and pretty much everything else. I was having really weird issues where it didn't work on The Office, then I tried to fix it, then it didn't work in Media Player Classic, so I know I'm repeating myself, but it works, so that's all I care about. The execution time's milliseconds. Not a big deal with that inefficiency. So playing a video, pretty much the same nature as this. So I'll basically show the rest of my abilities, and then we'll go over how I do it basically. So I not only have the ability to do all those things, but I can also search stuff on Google or YouTube pretty easily. So if I want to search some on YouTube, I'll just search some random thing. So I'll say, hey Mycroft, search YouTube Judy Norton Ask Judy number 36. That was just some random thing that came to mind that I think I am actually watching now. So now YouTube automatically popped up with that particular search query. And if I have my Steam controller, then I can just click right on it. And I'm set. So I can search YouTube for pretty much anything and it automatically pulls up the search results hands-free, like this did just now. Hey Mycroft, eliminate program. You already know that I can open up specific channels and files. Probably don't need to see that again. But yeah, like if I want to open up that particular channel, then I go, hey Mycroft, open Judy Norton. Then it should just come right up. If I have it programmed to do that. Otherwise it might not. Sometimes it mishears my commands. I'm gonna spoil this right now, but if it recognizes the command wrong, then I can go, hey Mycroft, what happened? Well, it looks like it recognized it correctly, but I just don't have a shortcut for that, I guess, or else it's meant for the Intel NUC, but not my main computer. I had to quickly switch everything to my main computer before recording this, because it's just easier. But yeah, so sometimes it recognizes my commands wrong, so that's another ability. I'm going to elaborate on this more later, but if I want to tell why it recognized it wrong, I can quickly ask it what happened. So yeah, I'll go over that in a little bit, and I'll show you that Google works as well. Hey Mycroft, search Google Cloudflare forward URL redirection not working. So that's something I might search when I'm on the couch. It didn't recognize it all correctly, but it's close enough that I'm getting relevant results. So I can very quickly pull up results like that for whatever I want to search. So I literally just say search YouTube or search Google. I'm going to add more in the future, of course, but this is more than enough for me right now. Pretty much all I'm ever going to do is search Google or YouTube on the couch. Then rather than manually typing it with my Steam controller, this is a really good alternative. Hey Mycroft, eliminate program. So I can do that, and then I can also type stuff as well. So if I wanted to type something down in the search bar, hey Mycroft, type my webcam worked immediately without problems. Then I just tell it to type something, and then that text appears. So if I want to type somewhere specific, but I don't want to exactly search either, or I have the search bar selected, then I can type right in the search bar. Especially if I don't have support for searching a specific thing, I could manually select the search bar and tell it to type some given thing. Pretty cool, huh? Where I find this most useful is if I'm watching something in Media Player Classic on the couch and I want to create a bookmark and title it. So let's just choose this as an example right here. So let's say that I wanted to bookmark this particular moment of the video. That's kind of a weird moment to pause on. I'll use my Steam controller because that's where it's the most practical. So I could just add a new favorite by pressing a button. I think it's Control T or something. Oh, I don't have that mapped on this computer actually. It works on the Intel NUC because I have that by the couch. So I just click add to favorites. This is a manual way of doing it. Let's say that I want to label it. So rather than pulling up my keyboard like this and then manually typing some long stupid thing, then I can say, hey Mycroft, type very weird moment on bloopers. And even if it makes some mistakes with the recognition, it's close enough that I know what it means, so I can just hit OK. So you can imagine that I can issue the command before I even create the bookmark if I can pull it up fast enough. I can save time by, if I know I'm going to bookmark something, I can be like, hey Mycroft, type this is the second moment. See there? Saved a little bit of time by issuing the command before I'm even ready to type. That's handy on the couch, let me tell you that. So yeah, so typing is really nice as well. Hey Mycroft, eliminate program. So that's a pretty cool thing that I can do with it as well. So why did that not work? Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. What happened? See that? Oh, look at that. 11/8. I'm not gonna add that to my exceptions. I'll explain that, what I just meant later on, but so that recognized it wrong, so I just have to issue it again. Hey Mycroft, eliminate program. And then, yeah, so now I showed you my opening and closing abilities as well as some other stuff, like entering full screen, toggling captions, combining multiple commands together, searching Google or YouTube, and typing pretty much anywhere. Those are my main abilities that really stand out. So now let's talk about this whole breadboard stuff that I'm currently doing. So I'll get out my phone camera so you can see what's actually going on. Okay, so this is the breadboard right here. So when I say, hey Mycroft, the green light comes on. Open YouTube. The green light comes on so I can tell that it's listening, which is pretty neat actually. Hey Mycroft, what happened? What happened? See right there? I had a feeling that it wasn't gonna work because the light didn't come on right away. Sometimes it doesn't work at all, which is very annoying when it doesn't work because I've wasted a bunch of time waiting. Turns out it didn't work. Now I have to issue the command again. But if I can tell that it's working right away, then if it doesn't recognize stuff right away, try number 1, try number 2, try number 3, try number 4. Hey Mycroft, eliminate program. See what I mean? Like right there, I would have tried it 5 times and wasted a lot of times. If I'm spending like 10 seconds per failed attempt, that's 50 seconds wasted right there. But what you just saw was 5 to 10 seconds wasted instead, because I could tell that the light didn't come on, so it wasn't listening right away. Hey Mycroft, try number 1. Now that actually did work. Try number 1, try number 2, try number 3. See right there, that would have been 30 seconds wasted if I didn't have that LED. So the green LED tells me if it's listening. The red LED comes on if there's a connection error or something, which is still not perfect. I demonstrate that in the live stream. I would maybe recommend watching that, but I'm not going to fix that in this video. Basically, if there's a SSH connection error, because again, I do everything through SSH, then the red light will come on. It does kind of work actually. So if you've seen that video, a little update since the video, it does work if it fails more than 1 time. The first time it fails, the light won't come on at all. Second time it fails, then it will. The First time it works, it'll still come on. Second time it works, it'll probably still come on. The third time it works, it'll stop coming on. So it's a little bit weird with the red LED. The yellow doesn't really have a very useful purpose yet. I think I will use it for something in the future, but the yellow light is still actually used for a couple things right now. So if I were to pull that up again, the yellow light works obviously when I first started it up. If I start it up, well, basically I can restart it by pressing this top button, which, since I don't have a terminal attached to my script, pressing this button is really the only way to restart it properly and have status LEDs so I can tell when it started working. If I hit stop, the red and yellow light come on without the green, then I can tell it's stopping rather than restarting. So that's kind of what I use it for right now. I don't really use it for much else. So basically the top button is for restarting, the bottom one's for stopping. And I need to do that since I don't have any terminal attached to the script. But the breadboard is attached to the script, so it'll be able to properly stop and start stuff. So where do I start with actually showing stuff? Actually, why don't I stop it real quick? So if I hit the bottom button, then the Mycroft is actually stopping right now. Oh, the green light came on because of the trigger phrase. The red and yellow came on because it was actually stopping. Green is still going to be on until I restart it. That's a little glitch that isn't really that problematic. I don't really care about that. So until I restart it, that green light is going to stay on. That's just how it is. So let's come back to the computer and I'll show you basically how the OpenScript works nowadays. So let's come back to here and look at that first skill that opens and closes programs. So in Up Mycroft skills, open the init.py script. So what's actually happening right here is this is basically what I use for compounding commands together. The parse intents is what I use. And it basically gives me an array of all the commands that are running. So when I combine commands together, then I want to separate them out so I can iterate over them. And this is how I do it. This is ChatGPT came up with this particular stuff. So intent.strip basically gets rid of spaces before and after, leading and the opposite of leading, white spaces. And then for basically it'll split by the word and for every single one of them it goes into this array. Python has pretty weird syntax, but that's how it would be done. And then these lines right here basically make it so I can use more words than just and. Speaking of that, let's add this particular one on. So here I'll just come to this line, duplicate it, and then replace on with and. So that'll allow me to use on as a joining word too, so I could be like enter full screen on captions on video instead of using and. It just adds support for more words than and, mainly because of voice recognition purposes. So that's how I minimize the false negatives right there. And that's a nice way to do it. Probably the simplest way. Just replace the word with and behind the scenes, and then just use and like I've always been using it. And why reinvent the wheel and make it work with all these different words, and to just simply replace it with and keep that mechanism in place. So this is basically still the same, but what I do now, of course, with this main PC instead of Nook files, and then I also load in IP addresses that go with SSH because I'm adding multi-device support, of course. This also allows me to reference the same IP address in all my scripts from a centralized location, or I have to change it in like 10 different places anytime it changes. So that's what that's ultimately used for. And then right here, this goes through all the different commands. I think I may have already shown this before. And then what this does is if I have a fourth or a third comma inside of my file with all the commands on it. So if you need a reminder on what that looks like, the files that I have support for are the documents, Mycroft. Actually, let's do the main PC one. Those are all my different commands right there listed in a file. So you can see I have one comma right there. So it's the, oops, I just wanted to highlight that. Come on. So it's that right there. So that's the actual command that's being run. And then this is the behind the scenes for how to execute that command. So that's basically what's needed to execute the right command. So letter Charlie will open up my C drive using that. But if I have a second comma right here, I may actually in the future use that to signify which device to run that command on. Do I run this on main PC, or do I run it on Nook, or do I run it on Mac? Like that. Which one do I run it on? So I'm probably gonna do an IP address lookup with that in the future. And so this is a mechanism to detect if there's more than one comma. This is how it handles that for right now. So it retrieves the utterance, which is of course the command that I tell it. And then it basically deals with that. So it iterates through all of my and. So if I compound multiple things, it'll iterate through all of that, I believe. And it runs one at a time. So I have an array called results, which stores all the commands that I'm running at once, separated by and. And I used to have a wait mechanism where I could just tell it to wait for like 5 seconds before the next command. It acts as sort of a wait placeholder. But I have so many glitches that I'm not really using it right now. So basically if I'm not waiting, then it just goes to the next command. There's my fuzzy search mechanism, which I talked about last time. I'm adding another new mechanism hopefully soon. So as you know, in this file, it's pretty odd that I have 4 backslashes, which is not great. I would like to have just one, because 4 backslashes and having to have a space, like right here for example, makes things really confusing. How do I deal with that? Well, I tried to basically change my pattern right here. So actually this is probably not where I'm really trying to look, but look at all the quotes that I have. I have a single triple quote here, single double quotes. Actually that's not really what I'm trying to reference. Yeah, actually right here is what I'm looking at. Single triple quote, single double quotes. It's kind of weird how I have my quotations, because I think there was even a place where I had double triple quotes, or triple double quotes, whatever you call it. and then single triple quotes. So double triple quotes and single triple quotes, like right next to each other. That's a lot. So the quotation is really confusing. I tried having AI simplify that, but it kept making so many mistakes that it actually failed to come up with anything better than what I already had. Even like 4 or 5 hours later, I wasted 4 or 5 hours and AI did not make it any better. So I'm keeping it how it is for right now. So I'm kind of stuck with doing the quadruple backslashes. I have to add like 2 or 3 different kinds of quotes, like more than what I already have. You can only have a single triple quote, a double triple quote, a single quote, and a double quote. You can't have more than that. It's just not going to work when you compound quotes together. So I need at least 5 of those different kinds in order to use a single backslash. So what I'm hoping to do in the future is to keep my mechanism I already have, but use replace to change the quotation behind the scenes and add any necessary quotes that I'm lacking here. Then I can have single quotes while keeping the mechanism I already have. Just like with the and up here on the top. Rather than trying to make it work with all these different words, I'm just using replace and changing it with and before anything happens. Same thing here. Same thing toward the bottom. I would basically change it from a single backslash format to quadruple backslash format. Then I can keep my formatting right here and it'll still work. It's exactly what Wi-Fi is doing. Because Wi-Fi is technically using Ethernet standards. Like as far as the device is concerned, it's still Ethernet because it's utilizing the Ethernet principles just wirelessly. There's probably a few other differences, but basically Wi-Fi is technically Ethernet at its core, in the sense that it's not reinventing the wheel for how the whole communication mechanism works. So technically Wi-Fi is Ethernet in a way. So why reinvent the whole wheel with the whole concepts of how communication works? Why not just make Ethernet work wirelessly? Also known as Wi-Fi to this day. Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking of doing here. So I'm like, well, what approach can I take rather than trying to get this quotation fixed? Why not make Wi-Fi work like Ethernet? That's my mindset with this. So this is my mechanism that I tried adding in that video to make my red LED work. And what I was doing there is I just have a text file storing a status code which dictates whether to turn the red LED on or off. And that mechanism's not perfect. I'm not going to bother fixing it right now, but that's kind of what that's for. There's a few things I could clean up in here, but for the most part, that's how the OpenScript works. So technically with the full screen and all that, it's really just opening an AutoHotkey script, just like it opens anything else. Now let's go over the search mechanism. So what that does is it'll retrieve the utterance in basically the same way as my main script does. And then I have a variable that stores what my actual search query is. Basically, it'll take a look at my first word. So I just want my first word, and I think the fastest way to get access to the first word, no matter how many characters it is to simply turn it into a list. I mean, the word is still all in one piece, but what I'm actually doing is making a list and I can access each word by an index. And I'm saying .lower to make it case insensitive. Then it doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase. It'll work with it all. That whole Wi-Fi on Ethernet thing is happening right here too. So basically, I say search as the first word, then the first query word is, if it's YouTube, this is a mechanism for searching YouTube. If it's Google, then it searches Google. You probably noticed that the Google search was in incognito mode. And that's because I generally like to use that. I just don't want it to affect my ads and all that stuff. So I just put it in incognito mode for searching. It's just a lot simpler in that way. So what it does is it'll run. I usually watch YouTube and Brave. So this will basically get rid of YouTube. And then now I have the query all by itself once I've removed YouTube. So I remove it from two different places because they're both used later on. So then I put a plus where there's spaces, I think, and then the URL has no spaces. It's the correct separator, and I join the words together since I put it in a single list to break it down. Now I'm putting it together in a way that can be used. So my ultimate URL is in this format, then appending the query words to that. And then my actual query, I guess, is what? So where's the query used? Oh, the browser path, which is used right here. So it's the browser path space the URL as a parameter for launching the browser. So I might say brave.exe space, then the URL I want to open up. So this is what I use to achieve that. And then with Google, practically the same thing. The only difference is the browser is Chrome with incognito. The trigger phrase is Google, or the type of query basically. And then the syntax for Google searches is slightly different too. Then it runs that. And that works like you would expect. So that's how my search mechanism works now. Now let's go over the typing one. So that's actually pretty similar to the search one, except I'm retrieving my utterance in the same way. And then this is how I type text. So basically in command prompt, it'll convert my output to an input for the clip command. So ultimately what it does is it puts my query on the clipboard and then pastes it from the clipboard. That way it types instantly, and it's just a lot easier in certain aspects. There's a lot of fumbling around getting this to work correctly, but if I want to paste text from AutoHotkey, then yeah, so I'm taking my result, putting it in the clipboard on command prompt. Then I'm running the paste AutoHotkey script, which is simply an AutoHotkey script that presses Control B. I could probably do that in command prompt or PowerShell, but I have AutoHotkey, why not just use that? If I get this working on the Mac someday, I'm gonna have to use a whole different mechanism. Who knows what, but that's one of the other future improvements that will be made to it over time. I also discovered that with the dependencies like OS or subprocess, you actually don't need to add that to the manifest file. You just need to add special third-party ones that you downloaded yourself through pip or maybe compiled from the source code. You have to specify those, but built-in ones like OS or subprocess, not necessary. So I didn't actually have to do anything special to my manifest file at all. It works just as well. So my skill creator that modifies that, I'm not gonna mess around with that in any way. So yeah, that's how my typing mechanism works. So now I'm gonna kind of show how my breadboard stuff works. Actually, I'll be right back. Okay, so now we will basically look at how my startup script actually works, because that's what makes the breadboard stuff actually work, and it just kind of unifies everything, including the signals for the breadboard, starting it and stopping it. Anyway, so my documents, I have a launch script, or launch Mycroft. So in launch Mycroft, basically, in order for it to actually work, to control the LEDs and stuff, I have to run the Mycroft virtual environment. So that's a Python specific thing. You could run Python in its own separate environment, and it can have its own packages and all that installed too. So basically it just switches the source, then it runs a Python script for controlling the breadboard. But I have a no hang-up signal. That way I can basically detach it from the terminal while still having it run. So it runs even if I close out the terminal, basically. And it also redirects the output to dev null so that it's isolated and not in the main terminal. So the Python script, which is called breadboard, so that's in Mycroft. So the breadboard script, basically it's controlling the LEDs with the GPIO library like you would expect when using the breadboard in Python. So that pretty much works exactly as you'd expect. I created this whole script basically in that live stream that I previously showed. There's a couple differences, like I don't believe there previously was a restarted right here, and the LEDs coming on during a restart, I don't know if I programmed that in the live stream. Certainly didn't program the stop mechanism. So of course, just to walk through this, I'm importing libraries here on the top, importing libraries, then it starts Mycroft, which is simply it executes the terminal command to start Mycroft the way I typically do. I have a restarted variable which is relevant later. I create a message bus client so that this script can receive messages issued by Mycroft itself. Because in order for me to control the LED, how does it know that it's happening? It's using the message bus to retrieve signals for that. So yeah, I'm using a message bus client, which is imported right up here. Then this is typical breadboard stuff right here. I'm setting up the LEDs and buttons with pin numbers using the BCM layout. This turns on all the LEDs, the red, yellow, and green. That simply turns it on. Then the start listening is basically, this is an event driven script right here. The start listening is basically triggered when I actually say the trigger phrase. That's what turns on the green LED right there. Stop listening basically turns it off. And I got that whole mechanism where the red LED comes on for the connection error. Doesn't really work the best right now, but I don't really care. This restart Mycroft is triggered when I actually hit that restart button. The restart button basically triggers this code snippet right here. The stop button, which is the other button, triggers that code snippet. And then I forget what triggers that. I'm sure it's lower. So this is for the buttons to work, of course. And this will be relevant later on when I talk about the ability that logs, or basically shows what happened. That's relevant for later. This is what actually triggers the event driven stuff. So basically when I start talking, the messenger will send a message called recognize your loop, record begin, as I have highlighted right there. So basically I can pull that in using that messenger service. So when that message happens, it'll trigger this start listening right here. So that gets triggered when this particular message gets sent. Stop listening gets triggered when record end gets sent. I don't remember what this configuration.updated actually is. Oh, this is when Mycroft initializes. So it goes through all these different things. As you're aware, when I actually start Mycroft, which I could probably do right now actually, I'll initiate it right here. So I'll just run my script. Then I'll press Control C. So now all the LEDs came on. So right now, I think we're all the way down here. So basically, the message that gets sent when Mycroft properly initializes is configuration.updated. That's what gets triggered when Mycroft finishes starting up successfully. So when that happens, it shuts off all the LEDs. So updated configuration. That's this function right here. And basically, if I restart it, then it only does it once, I think. I forget exactly how it worked. Basically, I just did it until all the conditions work correctly. Once it finishes starting, then all the LEDs shut off, as you can see. So that's what this configuration.updated does. And then this is how I actually get what the utterance was, which is relevant for later. And this GPIO cleanup, that's not actually running because it's commented out, but that's a natural part of a breadboard script. So again, if you want code like this, just request it, then you can adapt it to your situation. So yeah. Oh, I remember what happened right here. So basically, when I first started up for the first time, it needs to get restarted once it's initialized, otherwise it just doesn't work properly. It'll say uncommitted changes in the output. And that makes my voice command not work. So once it's initialized and I restart it again, that's what this is. So if it hasn't been restarted before, since I've started it up, it'll restart consecutively. Otherwise, if it's been restarted at least once, then the LEDs will shut off. They're still on now, but I have a feeling they might shut off. Nope. Never predicted that correctly. Anyway, so, oh, now they shut off. Within a couple seconds, actually. So that's how my script actually runs with the breadboard. So the terminal output, as you can see, is not attached to this terminal at all. So it's redirected to dev null and is under a null hangup signal. So technically my only way to stop it, other than doing like a p kill, is to simply, is ps list a valid command? See, I don't know what command I really wanted earlier. Anyway, the restart button and stop button is pretty much needed to be pressed on the breadboard. So as far as I'm concerned, the script is attached to the breadboard instead of the terminal. So I can pretty much only use the breadboard to stop it unless I manage to get the terminal reconnected again since I've detached it. I could probably interface it with a TTY screen, but I can't do that because, I mean, I could probably do that, I just haven't bothered yet. If I put it on a TTY screen, then I could see the output at any given time, maybe even mess with it. I don't know. So that's pretty much how the breadboard stuff actually works using the messenger service. If you want to see how it was built, watch that live stream. So now let's go over the what happened skill. So I think I'll keep this open because I'm going to be referencing it pretty quickly. But essentially I have a skill called what happened, which again, I think I already showed this before. But if I want to see what command I last ran in case the recognition was really bad. So like if I wanted to open YouTube but I say it wrong, something that doesn't even work. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. So my LED is not coming on right now, which tells me that something's not working correctly. That happens sometimes. See, I would have kept trying the command over and over again if I didn't have the LED. So that would be kind of frustrating. But if I come to here and look at the CLI, I can still connect to the CLI even though I have a script running at the same time, which is so cool. I'm just gonna see if some general thing works. I don't know why that's happening right now. YouTube did open up though, so that's kind of curious. The voice command doesn't work. Hey Mycroft. So at this point, well, the microphone is working. We know it's working because we got a mic level, but my commands are not working, so it needs to be restarted. So I'm going to hit the button. Usually restarting fixes it. So I hit the restart button on the breadboard. As you can see, even when I'm headless, that works. So now all the LEDs are on again. If you need proof for whatever reason, here is your proof. The LEDs are on again, and they'll shut off as soon as the remote configuration updated appears on this thing. That's how I know it's initiated properly, and that's what I use to turn off the LEDs also. So you saw kind of how that works. And by the way, if you're confused about how this is wired, that live stream covers it. I actually explain why everything is the way it is. So you're not just seeing like, okay, hook this cable here, then hook it here. I'm like, hook it up here because whatever. Kind of going over the reasoning for everything. So yeah, once it says remote configuration updated right here, you saw that the LEDs just shut off. So that's perfect. So now let me disconnect the camera. Okay, so now that that's working, hopefully my voice command will work. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. Sometimes it lags in this really weird way where it just doesn't seem like it's gonna work. Hey Mycroft. I don't know why that happens. Hey Mycroft. It's not working at all, so I'm just gonna stop it altogether. That might be necessary, and then I'll make sure that everything works. Yeah, so now only the red and yellow LED came on. So it's officially stopped now. All the services are off. So at this point, I would check and make sure that my microphone is listed while it's not running. Otherwise, it's problematic. So it's running here. Testing the mic. Yeah, we're getting real input. Okay. So then at this point, I would initiate the script again. Don't know why that happened. It's a little glitchy sometimes. That's just kind of how it is. Don't know why. So now I'm launching it. The LEDs are on. That'll be the case until it fully starts up. So while we're waiting, we'll talk about the what happened script. So of course, that's where the message box comes up and shows my most recent command that I ran. And then if I say what just happened, well, I'll show you what the actual script looks like. So let's go to, I'll go in the actual directory in case I need to look at multiple things in there. So if I just go into the what happened skill. So basically it's pretty simple in principle. The underlying code is pretty similar. I load the utterances in the same way as normal. Then I have the if statement for exactly how I issue the command and the way to deal with that. So if I say what happened, then basically it just connects via SSH and displays a message box showing exactly what happened through the command prompt. And it actually logs everything to a file. I'll show how the logging mechanism works in a second, but every command that I issue is logged to a file. And basically it just retrieves the most recent command from that log file and then displays it on the message box. If I say what happened now, it's exactly the same as this, except the index is now -4 instead of -3. So if my what happened command was issued wrong for whatever reason, then I can try it again by saying what just happened. And that's assuming it didn't work and the LED came on and everything, meaning I did issue some command. All of a sudden the what happened that I want is the second most recent rather than the most recent. So that's how I deal with that. I would like to quantify and make it more dynamic, but too much screwing around. This was enough screwing around as it was. So, but I like how this works. And then if I issue pretty much any other command, then it'll actually show me a list of the 25 most recent commands. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. For some reason that's still not working. The green LED does in fact work. Why is that still not working? So if I go into the CLI, I don't know what's happening. Hey Mycroft. Hey Mycroft. See, this happens every once in a while. Most of the time it doesn't, but every once in a while it just glitches out in the stupidest ways. So then I have to kind of figure out what's going on. Certainly not perfect, but so nice when it works. So since this is happening, my next approach is to stop it again by hitting the stop button. The LEDs come on so I can tell that that really worked. All I can really think of is plugging in the microphone into the other port or rebooting the Raspberry Pi. Plugging it into the other port's the most convenient option right now, so I'm just going to give that a shot. So now it's in the other port. Now I need to make sure that the microphone's still recognized, which sometimes it doesn't work. See right there, it's not recognizing my mic even though I plugged it in. So now I gotta do it again. Now let's see if it shows up. It's still not showing up for some reason. Why is that? Third time was a charm. For whatever reason it took 3 attempts before it came up. It's pretty glitchy. So at this point, now I'm gonna reinitialize the script by running the launch. I think I might wait to Control C just in case that's the problem. Pretty sure it's not. I've done it right away in the past and it worked fine. Usually I initiate this through SSH, but of course I'm on the Pi right now showing you this, so it doesn't really matter that much how I initialize it. So anyway, if I want to look at the top 25, this is what I do. I tried doing it with a message box, but I had trouble getting the new line character to work in a message box. I tried the new line character, I tried the return character. I can't even try another kind of character, but none of them worked the way I wanted. So I'm just creating a text file with the 25 most recent commands and making that pop up on the computer, essentially. Yeah, the number of utterances is basically 25, or if there's less than 25 in the log, that's what it is. So then I'm storing the contents in an array, going through the number of utterances, doing it that many times, and appending that to a temporary file. So this array is going to go in a file, as you can imagine. Then I open up this utterance file, which is temporary, add the array to it. Then it'll send that text file to my computer. I should really have it pull the IP address in from the IP addresses file. I just haven't done that yet. I will tweak that someday. And then let's see what else. So it sends that utterance file, then it actually opens it up in Notepad on Windows. So that's how I would do the 25 most recent commands. So I either do the most recent, the second most recent, or the 25 most recent ones in a text file. So you're probably wondering, why is this -3? Why is this -3 right here? Well, that is actually the most recent because the negative index, of course, in Python loops backwards. -1 is a new line, or it's an empty element, because if I do the new line character, that's how I append everything. There's always going to be an empty line on the bottom of the file. So -1 is just an empty string. -2 is the what happened question that I just asked. -3 is the most recent command that I want. -4 is the second most recent, and so on. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. So I'm basically logging everything to a file. Let's see if it works now. Hey Mycroft, open YouTube. So that did in fact work this time. So let's come back to the desktop. So let's say I issue a command and it recognizes it wrong. Hey Mycroft, I don't want you to close the program. So I try to close the program. Let's say it just recognized it wrong. So that skill that I just showed, I can go, hey Mycroft, what happened? Then a message box should come up. It's not, so it might not have recognized the what happened correctly. But the command did issue according to the LED. So now what I want to do is say, hey Mycroft, what just happened? Why is that not working? Did I just save the script? Hey Mycroft, eliminate program. So that worked fine. Very weird. Hey Mycroft, what happened? Oh, weird. So now it worked. So now, I don't know what, let's say I want to check that original mistake and it's now too late with what happened or what just happened. I'll say something like, hey Mycroft, what happened overall? Then it creates the 25 most recent files in a text file. Then I can be like, oh, this is why I recognized it wrong. So then I might tweak something to make it recognize this as a valid command as well. Then I can minimize the false negatives just by giving it more things that are acceptable for recognition. So that's kind of what I do. If it's something that's too stupid to add to the options, then I'm not gonna bother with that. What? Where did this come from? Where did that come from? This was said in the video, but recognized wrong. Maybe you guys can figure out which command I tried saying when it recognized this. It wasn't that long ago, because these open YouTubes just happened. But yeah, so basically it parses the 25 most recent commands that are stored. So anytime I issue a command, it automatically gets logged, and then the what happened skill basically utilizes that. So I can be like, hey Mycroft, what happened? When a command doesn't work, then I can ask what happened, and then be like, oh, I see what happened. Rather than eliminate program, I thought I said 1180 program. Then I make that work too. Especially if it happens multiple times. So now you see how the what happened skill works. Now I'm going to show how the logging works. So let's get into the logging mechanism. So of course this breadboard script is also responsible for the logging stuff, because why not? May as well use the same script for that. So basically what this line does is that's what actually triggers. That triggers anytime I give a command in general. It triggers that if I say any utterance at all. So let's take a look at the log utterance, which is right there. So that basically opens up the file where I'm storing all the utterances. It opens that file up in append mode. Then it writes basically my utterance, which this is the syntax needed to retrieve it using that messenger service that I declared toward the top. When I declare this message bus client, that's basically what's actually doing that. So yeah, that's what actually logs the utterances. So if I were to go back into that file, I just showed you the logging mechanism basically, but if I were to actually look in that file, it's crazy how many commands I've actually used within a week. It's insane. I didn't realize I used it as much as I actually do. So I just go into the utterance log. So yeah, 637 lines. That all happened within a 1 or 2 week period also. So apparently I've issued like 500 or 600 commands a week pretty easily. And that's that's possibly not even my full usage. Like before I started logging it, I might have been using it even more vigorously yet. I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy how many commands I've actually used. I'm not logging because they're spying or anything. It's literally for the what happened skill. I'm basically spying on myself, so it's not like anybody else is spying on me with this. I'm spying on myself, and I'm totally fine with that for what I'm using it for. So that's how I log stuff. So that's another improvement I made that was not on the live stream. So yeah, that's pretty much how I have it set up now. This is all jumbled up, I apologize. But I think that pretty much covers my custom voice assistant and where that's at right now. I would go over all the future things I want to do, but that's just going to take too long right now. You'll see those things when they happen anyway. There's a couple more things I also wanted to show. So first of all, there's actually a folder that also stores your skills in .config within your home folder. You go to .config Mycroft skills. Even if you delete a skill from Up Mycroft skills, you delete a skill from that folder, there's still going to be remnants in this .config folder for things you may have already deleted in the past. So like this Wi-Fi off stuff, that's left over even if you deleted the original skill. So you might want to consider getting rid of stuff in here too if you've deleted any skills. So like I don't use Wi-Fi off anymore. That was actually the skill that I created on the live stream. I don't use that, so I'm gonna remove Wi-Fi off and the Wi-Fi off skill. So now those folders are gone. So I just wanted to point that out because you might want to consider removing remnants of leftover skills that aren't used anymore. It'll get reused to be created again, I'm sure, but you know, just wanted to point that out just so you knew about it. So yeah, I already showed the quotation stuff from earlier when I showed the double quote, the single, triple quote, blah blah blah. So that's pretty much it as far as Mycroft goes. I'm sure I could have potentially missed a few minor things here and there, but I think within all this rambling, I probably covered everything that's on Mycroft right now. So I'm sure there's going to be future updates, as you can imagine. If you watched the previous video, then you watched this one, you probably see there's a lot of changes that have happened. I'm evolving it over time as I see fit. This is almost perfectly ideal. There's other improvements I do want to make, like maybe improving the voice recognition, and I'd probably do that by running it through a grammar service or something. So it can like take improper words and maybe use grammar correction to create the right sentences. That might improve the recognition a fair bit. It'll use the exact same recognition, but try to correct the grammar and all that to what most likely happened. It might form a proper sentence and everything. I think that would improve the recognition as well. Maybe. We'll see. There's a lot of other things I want to improve as well, but that's one that I don't really consider it a high priority, actually, because I don't really have that much of a reason to use that. I might make it so it doesn't SSH tunnel, so that, I don't know if you saw, but with when I combine commands together with that and word in my open script, it reestablishes an SSH connection every time. So if I use the word and 3 times, that's 4 separate SSH connections right there. So yeah, that's not really ideal. So I might want to actually set it up so it uses an SSH tunnel. And then, yeah, it'll also improve how fast it is too. Some of the slow speeds actually come from establishing an SSH connection. So that's one way I can improve how quickly the commands run. Another thing I can do is maybe tweak some of the parameters for how quickly it starts and stops listening. That might also improve the speed of being able to issue commands also. So that's an improvement that I want to make, but it's not necessary. I can wait till I get time for that. If I don't want to spend any more time on it though, I don't think there's much more tweaking I would even do. Of course, I want to move the mouse cursor hands-free. I want to get a system set up for that. But yeah, another thing I was kind of hoping to do is to make it so I can dynamically open files that I didn't manually program myself. But I looked into some different ways of doing that. It's probably not worth my time. I'm probably going to save time manually adding files myself rather than creating an automatic dynamic file opening mechanism. So yeah, well, talking about future improvements to the voice assistant, this is one of them. Making it actually work with my lights. Be kind of cool. I think that's all I'm gonna share with improvements I want to make to it, because those are pretty much the main ones that I can think of right now. So that's basically where I'm at with Mycroft right now.